Story 1. Bought a one-way ticket to Alaska and lived in a cabin for a year. Learned to fish, chop wood, and survive without Netflix. Hardest but most rewarding year of my life. Story 2. I once decided to move to a new city with no job lined up, just figuring it out as I went. It was super stressful at first, but eventually, it paid off. I made great friends, found a career I actually enjoy, and learned to trust the process more. Story 3. A job for me. An opportunity came up for a job that I did not have any of the qualifications for, but I have experience in the sector and thought, forget it, the worst they can say is no. Mainly as I hated the job I had at the time, and the pay was low and management was terrible. I walked in, did my interview, and was taken on based on my experience. I was blown away. Instant pay rise, much better staff all around, and 8 years later, I'm still here. Story 4. My hysterectomy. I had been having so much pain and so much bleeding that it was affecting my life in absolutely negative ways. I was calling out all the time due to illness, and my brain was in such a fog it was hard to put sentences together. I said, forget it, let me get this thing out. I'm 34 with no kids, and it's been the best thing to ever happen to me. Story 5. Quit my job in 2011 to be an independent game developer. I had $40,000 saved and thought, of course, I would make money in no time. I did nothing for 4 years while the money ticked away. I had $37 left when I finally got a job again. I'm happy I tried. I learned I can't work for myself like that, and 2 of those 4 years were probably the happiest time of my life. Story 6. I bought a $5 scratcher and won $10. Spent it on 2 $5 tickets and got $50. Bought 2 $25 tickets and won $300. I ordered a lot of Domino's after that, like 2 pizzas, 2 sandwiches, and wings, pigged out and bought beer. Story 7. When I initially got divorced, my ex-husband basically had a much better lawyer and got 60-40 custody. When the kids were a few years older, they told me they didn't want to live with him anymore. I was a single mom, obviously trying to make ends meet and honestly kind of failing at it. I asked them to their faces, look, this is going to be hard. Are you sure you want this? It's going to cost a lot of money and likely a lot of heartache. That's when they told me stories of him drinking and driving with them in the car and worse. I had to go for it, no matter the cost, the heartache. We went back to court. It was ugly. He would call Child Protective Services and accuse me of things that weren't true just to have an investigation on my record. He would call the police to my house and say I was abusing the kids. It cost around $10,000 in the end, but I got them about 85% of the time and as the primary custodial parent. They've grown up safe, with education as a forefront, which he never cared about at all. Sports, I would pay for sports, and he would refuse to take them to practices and games. Friends, he never let them go out with friends as weekends were for family time, and healthy examples of how a relationship should be. My now 19-year-old is in college with a full scholarship for nuclear engineering, and my 16-year-old is thriving in high school with sports and a GPA of 4.0 and a lovely little girlfriend that I like. Things worked out so much better than they would have had they been with their dad. He's been basically an alcoholic with no job for years. Story 8. After reading dozens of threads from people who quit their jobs and just went and traveled, in 2022 I decided I would do the same. I quit my very nice and comfortable job and went on a 1-year sabbatical in Japan. Greatest decision of my life. Met so many people, journeyed all across Japan, staying in different locations all the time, no work stress, just me thinking about what I would eat the next day. Yes, I spent most of my savings, and the year afterwards was a bit rough, but I would do it again. The memories I have made are priceless. I guess the only downside is that I just keep thinking back to that year and wish I could go back because regular life is so dull in comparison. Story 9. Quit my stable accounting job to open a bakery. Everyone said I was insane, but 3 years later I'm making double what I used to and actually wake up excited for work. Best part? I get to eat cake scraps for breakfast. Story 10. I'm an artist but managed a bookstore for years because my alcoholic gambler husband was so unreliable. When he divorced me for his affair partner in 1990, I made a connection with an antique store and started doing hand-painted furniture for them, which expanded into wall murals and museum reproductions. I was a full-time professional artist for 25 years until I retired. I made slightly more than a teacher, was fully self-supporting, and loved what I did. I had 4 employees and we had a blast. It never would have happened if my first husband hadn't cheated. Story 11. Applied for a trucking job that pays for training. Phone interview in about 9 hours as of this comment. Would be making double what I am now, but it would be a big change in life. However, I'm willing to do anything I can for my family, and they understand the pros and cons of this and support me. Story 12. Matched with a guy I found really cute on a dating app, and we chatted on the app for like a day or so. A couple of days after we matched on the app, we had a 4.5-hour conversation over the phone. The following day, we were talking and he said, "I don't usually do this right off the bat, but would you like to come over tonight and hang out?" I hesitated for a minute or so but thought, all right, forget it. Let's do this thing. We hung out all night, and I ended up sleeping on his couch because he was too tired to drive me home. I live an hour away and don't really drive, especially at night, so he had to come get me, which was fine with me. He is the kindest, most generous, most respectful man I have ever met in my entire life. Also one of the geekiest, which I love because I'm also a huge nerd. It's been 2 months, and we're still having a very good time together when we can see each other, which is difficult due to opposing work schedules plus the distance. But we talk every day on the phone and have a great time. Plus, his dogs love me a lot, but they're dogs, so they'd probably love anyone who gave them affection, but still, it's nice to know they like me. Story 13. I was 28, and my career was sputtering. A work colleague mentioned a postgraduate course in a completely unrelated field to anything I had done in my career, for which there was free funding. I knew nothing about the course, but as they were accepting graduates from any field, I applied and got in. So began one of the greatest years of my life, which set me on a trajectory that led to my current career. That unexpected encounter turned into one of the best things that ever happened to me. Story 14. Facebook kept suggesting a guy I had gone on one date with in My People You May Know. We had both experienced close deaths after the date and lost touch. I figured, why not? And messaged him. We have been together for 6 years now. Married, have a house, a bunch of dogs, a toddler, and one more kid on the way. Kind of worked out. Story 15. Moved across the world and gave up my very high-paying job to marry a long-distance partner and become a stepdad. It has pushed me way out of my comfort zone and has been the most rewarding experience of my life by far. Story 16. My late husband looked me in the eye on our first date and said, "I'm going to marry you one day." He asked the next day and I thought, what the hell, let's give it a try, and said yes. We got married 5 days later. We had 25 wonderful years together along with 3 beautiful daughters. I lost him 13 years ago, and I still miss him every single day. We met on Friday, went out for the first time on Saturday, got engaged on Sunday, and got married on Friday. Young ladies do not do this. I got extremely lucky that he was an insanely kind, loving, gentle, progressive man. Story 17. I went to finish my degree during my divorce. I lived on less than $18,000 for a family of 3 for 2.5 years. Now my income is $45,000, and I have a dream job teaching 6th grade reading. I finally feel like I am where I belong. Story 18. Left the United States to take a job in the Caribbean. It's all right so far. Not bad, just different. Don't know that I'll stay here, but don't know that I'll return to the United States either. Story 19. I applied for a base-level job because I am retired and just wanted something to do. They called and interviewed me, offering a position that is 4 levels up. I thought, why not, and accepted. I am kind of nervous now since it's been years out of the workforce, but I will give it a shot. Story 20. 41 years old. 6 ovarian tumors discovered and removed in 2021. Damaged fallopian tubes. We never knew, as my family doctor never caught them. Decided to do in vitro fertilization despite having no benefits or government assistance, as the wait list is long. 3 rounds of egg retrievals, 19 embryos sent for genetic testing, only 1 viable embryo. Literally 1 shot, 1 opportunity to seize everything I ever wanted. Sitting here with my morning coffee watching my son slowly wake up. We'll be broke forever, but it was worth it. Story 21. I decided to quit my job and start my own business. I was tired of the 9 to 5 grind and felt like I had a great idea that could work. It was scary, and there were a lot of sleepless nights, but it paid off. My business has been running successfully for a few years now, and I've never been happier. It was a huge risk, but I'm so glad I went for it. Story 22. Bought a 28-year-old Fiat for €900 and drove to 3 countries with it. Didn't break down once. This was 2 years ago, and I still have it. However, 3 days ago, it had to go to the government road safety agency and did not pass. I'll pay the €600 repair bill. I don't care. It's now connected to my heart. Story 23. Medical school. I've been interested in it since middle school but never felt worthy enough for it because of my grades, due to mental health and things like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism spectrum disorder, physical disability, etc. But after some incredible teachers, I was able to push hard and work towards it. I got accepted to my dream university with almost a full scholarship, and I am currently attending with A's and B's, with the support of family and friends. Edit. Thank you all for the kind words. I had a difficult day, and this made it a whole lot better. Story 24. I started dating this guy who would go on trips into volcanoes. He invited me with him to Vanuatu when we had been dating for about 3 months. I said no because it was so expensive, and I didn't feel like I could take the time off work. I've never felt deeper regret, realizing this was an opportunity very few people get. The day he got home, I told him I don't care when or how much it costs. Next time, I'm going with you. He came to me super excited about a year later to announce the next trip was in the works. I matched his energy until he said, "Guess where we're going?" I assumed back to Vanuatu, but he told me, "No, pack your bags, we're going to the Congo." My dad is famously referred to as Liam Neeson by my friends because he has made a point in the past to prove that he can get boots on the ground to find me anywhere in the world. When I told him about this trip, he was scared. He begged me not to go, but I wasn't going to miss the opportunity again. As the trip got closer, he called me and told me emphatically, "Please don't go. I cannot help you there. I can help you anywhere, but not there." That really freaked me out, but I didn't back down. It was the most challenging, most rewarding, and most amazing thing I've ever done and probably will ever do. Story 25. Left my comfortable life abroad to return to my home country and start work in a call center. For years of total regret at first. Now I am happy with my choice. I climbed the ladder quickly, left the call center, and learned a profession in the meantime. Now I live just as well here as I did abroad, met my wife, bought a home. Story 26. My mom died in December of 2022, and in January of 2023, I had a kidney stone removed. While I was in pre-op at the hospital, I decided I'm going to run an ultramarathon. I'm not a runner, I've never been a runner, and I knew nothing about running. So I recorded a video committing to it and posted it on social media. As soon as the stent came out, I started training. 6 months later, I ran that 50-kilometer race. I used the whole thing as a contest entry for the Positively Unstoppable Challenge by DDP Yoga. At the end of 2023, I was named champion by World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Famer Diamond Dallas Page and got to fly to his home and meet him. I got my very own wrestling belt with my name on it, and all of it because I decided to do something so amazing that even I couldn't believe it. My post history has documented this journey if you're interested, and here is my contest submission video that won me the wrestling belt. Story 27. Not as noteworthy to others I imagine, but when Queen last performed close enough for me to see them, I decided to go for a VIP package. It was insanely expensive but worth every penny. I was so close I could have touched them at times. Just in September, I went to my first Supernatural convention. I've been a fan for many years but just haven't been able to do it until now. This year, I gave myself a ridiculously costly birthday present and went. Happily paid for autographs and photo opportunities. For a big fan like myself, it was worth it, except now I'm flat broke. Story 28. Low level, but when I sat my driving test, the instructor asked me to demonstrate parking into a bay almost right outside the test center. about 2 minutes into a 1 hour assessment. I did the maneuver, and as I finished, I glanced over at his score sheet and saw him mark down a major fault, which meant I had failed the test already. I remember being crushed and feeling the air go out of my lungs completely. I had no clue what I could have done wrong, let alone a major fault. I thought about ending the test there, but I thought, forget it. I'm doing the best drive of my life for the next 58 minutes. Maybe he'll let it slide. Turns out I had seen the wrong part of the sheet, and he had actually marked the part to say which maneuver we had done. I actually passed the test with one minor infraction. If I had thrown in the towel when I thought I had failed, I would have been waiting at least 6 months before I could try again. Story 29. I was spinning my tires in my hometown for years, didn't love my job, and wasn't dating very seriously. Started to feel like Groundhog Day, doing the same thing every single day. I decided to move to a bigger city a few hours away after an online job application landed me an interview. I just said I need this. Within a few years, I met my wife, made a lot of new friends, went on some adventures, and bought my first house soon after. I think back on how it used to be and how casually I was contemplating if I should apply. I don't know, that's a big step. Maybe I'm overdoing it. The thought of never doing it and having stayed in that old life terrifies me now.